Hey guys, good morning. So today's task is we're gonna start fixing a few things and we're gonna start with my generator. Let's go. Hey, Vern. Hey. So this is my Yamaha generator I've had probably about 3 years. It's been a good little generator. It's a 200 IS. This is what it is. It's a 200 IS inverter style generator. Now the problem I've had with this generator is for the longest time, probably a year and a half, 2 years, I've had to run the thing on half choke, sometimes a little bit more choke to keep it idling. And usually it ran fine just at idle for what I needed it for. I never had to kick it up into the high gear, I always ran it on idle. But the thing is with me cleaning the carburetor, I was only able to know about one jet. I didn't know that there was another jet that was hidden that I didn't see up in the center of the carburetor. So this time, I'm gonna take it apart, pull out the carburetor, and take it to a carb shop and have them clean this thing out because they do a really good job on my motorcycle. It's ran perfect ever since they clean it. So I'm gonna have them clean this because I'm gonna need to use this when I do some car camping. The fuel that is in the generator in the gas can is probably 1 year and 7 months old. It may be a little older because it's been in that gas can a while. Now, the fuel in the gas can doesn't have as strong of a scent. It smells like it's starting to lose its potency, if not probably 80% of its potency. But the thing I noticed is it has no bad varnishy odor. It doesn't smell like sour fuel at all. It just smells less potent. Now, in the generator, there is an O-ring seal in the cap, and that fuel seems to have maybe lost, I want to say maybe 60% of the potency, but it still smells like it should burn. And that's what I want to find out today. Will that fuel burn in that generator? Since I plan to have that carburetor pulled out anyway and cleaned, even if there was some old fuel issues, I'm going to drain the tank and clean the carburetor. So I think we should try to start it and see how volatile the gas is. The carb's been dry, so it may take a little while to start it on full choke, but I'm curious how well it will run on the fuel. And if it runs okay on this fuel, then I may consider running the fuel that's in the car. Now, I have to smell it, I have to check it, and see where that's at. If I have any issue where I smell anything weird or off, I'm just gonna get rid of it. Now, it's gonna be a hassle to get rid of it because I'm gonna have to pump it out. I'll have to go buy a pump. A guy at the motorcycle shop said he would take the fuel, so it's a matter of pulling out 20 gallons of fuel and running that back and forth and then getting new fuel for it. So it's going to be a bit of work, but that's what we got to do. So the first thing is we're going to clean our gas can. It looks pretty disgusting. It was sitting underneath this shelf. You can see all the mold and yuck and junk. Yeah, we got to clean that up first. Wow, look at that. It's red underneath there. Amazing. So I'm going to be carrying this in my car. I don't want it all gross and yucky, so we're going to make it look nice again. That's the thing, when you have stuff sitting outside, it's going to get moldy. That's the kind of environment that we have out here. It's not friendly to things that are sitting. So, all right, I'd like to have two hands doing this, so I'm going to turn this off and start doing some more cleaning, you guys. All right, so that's looking a little bit better, huh? What do you think? Looks a little better. All right, so today's question, will this fire on this old fuel? You can see how far the choke is out when I ran it last time. I'm just gonna leave it there. The fuel was off, so I'm gonna turn it on. And I'm gonna open up the valve up here. All right, you guys. So it took maybe 5-6 shots to get it started before. So let's see if we can fire it up. On? I don't know if it's on. Let's see. Let's full choke it. Gotta choke it pretty heavy. This will run fine, doesn't smoke or do anything weird. Yeah. So that fuel fuel's usable, but I'm still gonna dump it out. But it runs smooth, it doesn't act weird or anything other than having to choke it more. Oh, there we go, that's better. And it surges. See, that's why that jet's gotta be clean, because it'll surge. All right, cool. So I'm gonna take the carburetor off now. I'll have it clean today. That's great news. That means that fuel's still good fuel. So I use the premium fuel in here, and they must have some additive that's kept it from going sour, and it must not have too much of that alcohol or whatever it makes it go to varnish. So pretty happy for that, you guys. Wow. So the other question, after smelling this, will this burn? Is it still usable? And that's what I don't know. We'll take a little bit of this gas, I'm gonna pour it into here, and we're gonna dump it on the ground and see if it'll burn. If it'll burn, then I could actually run it in my motorcycle. Now this ground is a little wet. I'm not sure if that's gonna affect it, but let's see if we can start that on fire. Let's see if it works. Yep, there it goes, look at that. So there you go, you guys. It's about a year and 7 months old. It's still got plenty of flammability to it, so that's a good sign. Now a friend of mine, I won't say any names, had bought some gas and was unable to get his lawnmower started. And he called me over and we looked at it, and we kept pouring gas into the spark plug area and it didn't fire. And we're like, what the heck, why is this not working? And we couldn't figure it out. And just randomly I says, maybe it's the fuel. He says, how can it be the fuel? He says, I just bought this fuel, it's fresh fuel. Now he was buying the cheaper fuel, he wasn't buying the premium. I always run the premium and everything that I run here. And you can look at it and tell, because it's usually of a red color, but I can see it in the generator, that's a red tit, and it came out of this can, so it is the red fuel. There may be an additive in this fuel that helps it to be sustained longer, and that would be a huge bonus. But his fuel, it was brand new, and we could not light it on fire. It was so bad, so there's no way anything would run on that fuel. Now this would run on my motorbike, you guys, because it's still combustible. So I'm gonna dump this in my motorbike and then put some new fuel in the generator, and I'll run that through my motorbike. Now, the motorbike carburetor seems like I'm having to choke it more in the morning, like it could be needing a cleaning. So even if I run this stuff through there, I'll probably have that carburetor clean in about a month. Usually I get about 5-6 months out of a motorcycle here in the Philippines that's carbureted before it needs to be cleaned. So the other thing is just try to mix your fuel. If you have old fuel or fuel that you think it's still gonna work, just mix it half and half, half with your old fuel and half with good fresh fuel. And that way it'll help things out a little bit better. But I'm pretty confident this is gonna work just fine. And I'm pretty happy about that because it saves me a lot more work, you guys. All right, so we got a bunch of screws in here. Screw here, 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 and then there's a couple bolts down at the bottom. 1 bolt there, and 3 bolts. So these are 10, and then regular screws. So let's start by pulling the screws off. So what I like to do is pull this little cover off and then just set the screws on here. That way we don't lose anything. And that's where you fill the oil, right in that little spot. It's just a quick access for that. So unfortunately this ratchet is missing the little deal in here, so it's not holding my extension on there very well. It's missing a little ball bearing. And it is a Craftsman, I can replace it, but not locally. When I was a kid, the neighbor kid and I, Steve, used to drag home lawnmowers and fix them. And we were probably 10 to 12. And by the time we got to our middle school, which was junior high, we were the top 2 kids in our small engine class, which was pretty cool. All right, so we gotta take this off because we're gonna try to drain the tank, so gotta pull this side cover off. Once the screws are out, this just pulls off, just like that. That's like a heat sink for the generator. So put our screws there so we keep everything together. And we got one on this side. That's got to come off too, same thing. And then we've got one on this side. That's got to come off too, same thing. All right, so usually I have like a workbench, but I don't have a workbench, so I'm making the best do with what I've got. Now this side is where the exhaust is. and also a little bit of an air intake for the generator. All right, so this cover just pops off. It's got a couple pops in there. You can see the pop tabs right here, the round ones. See the pop tabs? So those just push in. Now you can see what we're looking at. So we got to pull this side cover off because the carburetor's kind of hidden in there. And we can pull it back, but it'd be nice to get it to the best we can. Now I did put a fill filter in here before because I was having issues with clogging. So if I remember right, I can pull the intake, disconnect the 2 bolts here, disconnect the top throttle linkage, and I should be able to just kind of slide this back and kind of wiggle it off. All right, so we've got to pull this air box out, and it's got a bolt right in here. It had another bolt right on the side here. And then we got these 2 bolts here to pull out, and then this will slide out. So the 2 bolts are off for that, so should just be able to slide it off. Be careful, there's a gasket on there, don't lose that. Just set it off to the side. All right, so now let's see what we're looking at. We got 1 cable up here, which is attached to like an automatic throttling. So if it's running, bogging down, this will automatically adjust it to a higher speed. We got the cable here. We got to make sure we've got that set right. And then we've got our fuel line. So basically this will slide right back right now. And then we got to deal with the linkages and make sure we get this on right. So this is a little finicky. Remember, it has to be set right. There's a little spring in here. You don't want to lose that. That's going to be a real big issue if you do. So, all right. All right, so this just slid off this rail. See how it just slid on there? I just pulled it off. Now I've got the fuel line to deal with. And then I've got this linkage that unscrews from the top. And then this has to be set just right. So pay real close attention to where this is attached and how tight it is and how far open it is. Make sure you get that just about right. That's pretty critical. And then there's a spring in here. Don't lose that damn spring. See it right there? Don't lose that spring. Let's deal with the fuel first. So I'm gonna squeeze this, pull it back to here, slide this off, and then I'm gonna try to slide. Then I'm gonna try to slide this underneath here and put that into my fuel can. All right, you guys, there it is. We're gonna take it to the shop and see if they can clean it now. My top secret government project. All right, you guys, back to motorcycle shop. I got my secret mystery government project.
For the generator?
For my generator, yeah. There's always a port in there I could never figure out to get it clean. And so the idle, I always have to half choke it. Somebody said there's a port in the middle. All right, guys, so I just put some fuel in this can, and it's 400 pesos. Got us about half full. You can see the line right there. So we got some fresh fuel. We'll put that in the generator, and we got the carburetor in the back. Just had it cleaned. So there it is. And we're gonna put that dude on and put some fresh fuel, and hopefully we'll be good to go. The guy's charged me 40 pesos to clean that carburetor, so I gave him 100. I mean, to me, it's worth it. All right, so they look to have done a good job. It looks real clean. And we'll just put this on, the reverse of how we took it off. All right, so we got the carburetor back on. Just started bolting the air box on. All right, so we just got this side cover to put back on. And put some fuel in it, give it a fire. So this thing has never idled perfectly since I've had it. So let's see how this works now. I'm real curious, you guys. So let's see, we've got this turned on. We got the valve on. Let's make sure it's all open. All right, so we're gonna fully choke it. Got this turned on. All right, you guys, crossing our fingers. Here we go. Look at that, first pull. Beautiful. Wow. Look at that. That's awesome. We'll warm it up, we're on full choke, right? Now the key is can we take the choke off without it dying? They need to be adjusted. Yeah, this thing has always had to kind of choke it. And it's still cold, so I don't know. Even if I had to run it half choke for now, I'm fine with that. I could order another carburetor. But in any event,
There we go, first pull.
So my last thoughts on that carburetor is it could be leaking air between the gasket, between the carburetor and where it bolts on. And so I need to get some spray and spray around there and see if that's causing an issue, and or there could still be a plug in that carburetor. Now, I've taken that thing off, cleaned it maybe 2-3 times, and then having someone else go after it. And it's like, it might just be cheaper, easier, mentally wise, just to order a new carburetor if it's still available and it's still at a low price. That way I start with the new unit and then I can have the extra for spare parts, because a lot of times this stuff gets discontinued and you can't find a jet, you can't find this, and so it's always nice to have the spare part, and carburetors are sometimes really finicky. So that's kind of where I'm at, you guys.
You as you drive, do you know I'm looking?
Hey, Vern.